Yeah. Great solution.
No,
Few days ago. Right, yeah. Is it gonna be there? All the trailers, it looks like it'd be expensive, they're outside of that stage. You know. Oh, it's here. Yeah, we didn't get named. Yes.
Very. Oh. Yeah, I think. No, it does not. It's not nice. I could just go outside. So. And that's what I thought I connected anymore. All right, yeah, you too. Thanks for saying hi.
We have talked to us like this. Thank you.
We have 1 ton carpet sold halfway trucks.
Oh, yeah.
1 ton carpet.
I didn't know. that
orders. Capacity. Yes. Yeah.
I'm excited that it's there for a long
What do you hear? Oh, really? I don't know.
Every time.
All right, the time is 6 p.m. I will call to order the May 13th meeting of the Huxley City Council. Roll call, please.
Murphy. Let the record show that Murphy is absent. Roberts. Here. Rigler.
Here.
Etcher.
Here.
Mulder. Let the record show that Councilman Mulder is also absent.
Thank you very much. And for the record, Mr. Mulder and Mr. Murphy had previously indicated that they would be unable to attend this evening. So need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Etcher. Well, second by Mr. Rigler. Any comments? All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now is the time in the agenda for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak this evening is certainly welcome to and encouraged to. We do ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes and that you start by identifying who you are. With that, I will open up the public comment. We need to go over that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Please.
Perfect, I'll start.
Thank you very much. You start with your name and address, please.
My name is Tim Van Loo, 523 Preston, live right up the street here. Just wanted to talk is this like the school board where we don't have a conversation, we just make a comment?
Thank you very much. I usually make that comment. Yes, this is a public comment and it's certainly your opportunity to address council. It's not an opportunity for our back and forth. If there's a topic or an issue that warrants that, council will give me direction and give staff direction to make it a work session item for a future council meeting. But
Fair enough.
Certainly welcome to hear comments, thoughts, suggestions.
I just won't ask questions.
Yeah,
That's
fair
fine.
enough. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks, Tim.
So the truck parking 6909, that's supposedly going to start to be enforced on the 18th, I believe, next Monday, was a Facebook message last week, Thursday, I think. I actually was one of the lucky ones that got a ticket Friday morning. I believe it's waived, so I threw that away, I think is what I saw. So anyway, wanted some better understanding of how, this is where I want to ask a question, how old this thing is or why we're enforcing it differently. I'm a salesman. I occasionally will pull a trailer home from work, usually late at night, and then leave in the morning with equipment on it. I've never had an issue. I've lived in the town for 15 years. So I'm trying to better understand why that is. And then not only that, like in this, I believe this is a little bit dated in the 6909 because it starts out with having a freight capacity of greater than a ton. I'm assuming this has been a while because if you look at even half the half tons, half the F-150s, half the Chevys are a one ton capacity as well as all the 3/4 ton, 1 ton. So I'm trying to better understand, are those allowed to be parked in the street? Are we going to pick and choose this rule? Like, how is this actually going to play out? I'm asking for at least a time period that we can be allowed to park on the street, whether it be, I think a minimum of 24 hours is fair. Allow people that are working to be able to come home at night, leave the next morning with their trailer. I don't know how you want to work through the weekend stuff with boats or things that people do on the weekends. Maybe they go grab their boat on a Friday night and then they put it back Sunday night, right? Some of those things I think should be considered. My understanding is most of this is coming from one part of the town. I hate that it affects my part of town. So I'm just asking you guys to kind of talk through this, maybe take a recess on the whole 18th and maybe better write this to make more sense in today's world. Because the way it's written right now, you're going to limit a lot of people from parking in the street, not just with trailers. Fair?
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments, Tim. Anybody else wishing to speak? Please do. Thank you. Just ask that you start with your name and address, please.
Chad Holman, 519 East Third Street. Good evening, council members. Thanks for the opportunity to talk. Obviously, my name's Chad. I'm a resident here and a small business owner. I'm a contractor. Respectfully, I'm asking that you reconsider this 69.09, which prohibits the parking trailers, basically any trailer, anytime unless you're loading or unloading. As a local contractor, I just moved this town in November. I didn't know of this rule until last week or the other day. I parked my trailer in front of my home until recently between job sites, never blocking anyone's driveways or hydrants or anything stupid. Parked respectfully, no one complained. In my driveway, like many in Huxley, it's too steep, too short. I can't unhook my trailer and put it in my driveway. It's just not feasible. Basically, you're making it illegal. It's already illegal, but you're enforcing the illegal part. To store my licensed trailer that I use to make a living, to pay the taxes, to live in this town. The question I have is, you guys said active construction site. What counts as active? Like me coming home, bringing my trailer, I have tools in it. I work on my house all the time because I'm a contractor. It's just what I do. Does that count? Can I just park it and work on my house? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, honestly. I propose a 24-hour, 48-hour rule, just like Tim mentioned earlier. Basically, it comes down to, you guys want us in this town to pay your taxes, but you don't want contractors to actually live here. That's just my 2 cents on the issue. So, thanks.
Thank you very much for your comments. Please. Name and address, please. Thanks, sir.
Jeremiah Ubben, 817 Ashwood Drive. I'm here for the same issue as well, so I'd just like to respectfully throw my opinion out there. I feel like the 6909 is a bit of a dated rule, and I understand that, you know, there's been some issues in town and those issues need to be addressed, but I feel like punishing everybody who hauls a trailer is not necessarily the best way to do it. Maybe it's the only way to do it. I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but I'm a small business owner as well too, and so I often pull my trailer and park it in front of my house. I've never had a neighbor complain, and if I would have, you know, had a neighbor complain, I would have addressed that and found a different spot for it or figured out a better way to do it. So also have a pontoon boat, and usually in the spring, it's out for about a few days, maybe even a week, sometimes in front of my house as I clean it up, and then I get it out to Big Creek, leave it out there for the year, and then in the fall I bring it back, clean it up, that type of thing. So I did it all this weekend, did it in 2 days. So the boat did sit in front of my house for 2 days. I knew I wouldn't get a ticket because we have that little thing until the 18th. Yeah, grace period. But you know, in my opinion, it feels like the rule is a dated rule. In talking with other people that live in other smaller towns around, it sounds like Ames has a similar rule, but they've always been known to be a little bit stringent on their rules. But it seems like a lot of the other small communities don't have this type of rule, or if they do, it's not enforced like we're looking to enforce it. So I just wanted to you know, give you my opinion that, you know, it's, to me, it's unfair, to punish the rest of the town for, you know, some citizens that probably weren't being good neighbors and causing a ruckus. So, appreciate your time, and hopefully you guys reconsider this and, kind of go from there. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else wishing to speak this evening? Please. Name and address, sir.
Trent Miners, 201 East 4th Street. Same issue as before. I'm a diesel mechanic traveling, so I have a F550 service truck. It falls outside that 1-tonner grader. That's how I make my living. This is a truck. I do occasionally pull trailers. You know, it sucks when you come home at midnight and now I gotta go drive an hour to Des Moines to drop a trailer in our yard because I can't park in my own town. To me, it's unfair rule. Like I said, the time period would be nice, or like an unhook rule, you know, if the trailer's unhooked out there, you know, to me, that's totally fair, that it should maybe take it or a conversation be had, so the guys aren't leaving trailers out. So I appreciate it.
Thanks for your comments. Please. Name and address, please.
Chad Wilson, 200 Ridgewood Drive.
Thank you.
Same rule. just here to voice my opinion. I'd just echo everything that they've said, just to have a time frame at which it can be hooked up. And again, they haven't had anybody ever complain about what I do, but contractor and have my trailer hooked up from time to time. And so just asking to revisit that rule and how you're going about it.
Appreciate your input. Name and address, sir.
Extra 804 Ashwood, same reasons everybody else is here, you know, it's a dated rule. I myself pull a trailer as well from time to time. It's not every night, but there are times I come home late at night, leave early in the morning, load a trailer. Just like everybody else said, same thing. I think it's a dated rule. I think needed some consideration need to be made for those who use it for work, for their way of life. And I realize if there's a trailer parked in the road all day, every day, days on end, I feel like those two things can be dealt with on an individual basis, and not punish everybody else who needs those trailers to do their daily job function. So.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wishing to make any public comments this evening? Seeing no one rise. I do appreciate everybody making comments this evening. As I indicated, it's not a back and forth. It's not an opportunity for council to discuss any items now that aren't previously on the agenda. So we certainly all did hear your comments. The council members that are missing will certainly watch this on YouTube and hear those as well. And I will converse with each council member between now and the next council meeting to determine if this is a topic that they wish to take up. If so, you'll see that as a work session item on the next council agenda. So keep an eye out for that. Again, I'll get with council members in the next week or so on that. So moving along, we do have a public hearing this evening. Item 4A. It's a public hearing on the plans, specs, and proposed form of contract and the estimate of cost for the Oak Boulevard lift station. The time is 6:12. I will open that public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak on the Oak Boulevard lift station this evening? Seeing no one rise, need a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Etcher. Second, Ms. Roberts. Need a roll call or a voice vote? Okay, all those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 4A1 this evening is resolution 25041 approving and adopting the plans, specs, and form of contract and estimated cost for the Oak Boulevard lift station. Need a motion? Motion, Mr. Rigler, second, Ms. Roberts. Any questions, comments from council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item 4A2 this evening is resolution 25042. It's a resolution making award of construction contract for the Oak Boulevard lift station. I need a motion.
Call out for a motion.
Motion, Mr. Rigler, second, Ms. Roberts. Any comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rigler,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion by Ms. Roberts. Second by Mr. Rigler. Any discussion on any consent items? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6A this evening is resolution 25047. It's a resolution approving a mill and overlay project. It's an FY26 capital improvements plan project. In a motion on 25047.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion, Ms. Roberts. Second, Mr. Rigler. Any questions?
Would just note for council that in the CIP that was adopted, we had 60,000 budgeted for third. And Matt, come up, Matt, because I know you added one. And I want to make sure we get the right one in the.
So we're currently out
to get engineering firm to do North Second. Along with sidewalk and stuff.
No, we're not doing that when we're talking about this one right now.
I understand that. I'm making it clear what's going on.
Okay.
So this is just overlays and manhole adjustments. This is Main Street with from East First to East Third. With the way prices and everything are, I added Park Ridge from East Fourth to East Fifth. Yep, full width, 2-inch. It's got a manhole adjustment. Just a piece of road that hasn't been touched for many years that thrown it in there, ended up being able to get it, both of them done for the same price. So that is separate from what's to be upcoming. This is without engineering firm being involved. This is something that we can handle in-house and have worked with all the bidders. So.
And just to clarify, it's an asphalt overlay. It's not a seal coat, tar and rock kind of situation. So,
Correct. Yep.
thank you. Any questions, comments from council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item 6B this evening is resolution 25048. It's a resolution approving the purchase of a backhoe as part of the 26 CIP. Need a motion on this?
Give you motion.
Motion, Mr. Roberts, second, Mr. Rigler. Any comments, questions?
nothing different than what we saw in the plan, right? Same cost, same, okay.
Yep, it's within the estimated cost that was approved in the CIP, and I will note that it's being paid for by 4 different departments because it's used by all.
Thanks.
Thank you, David. Hearing nothing further, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
6C this evening is resolution 25049, approving a professional services agreement with V&K for construction review of the South 69 trail improvements. Need a motion.
Motion. Corey and I are running these motions.
Motion is Roberts, second by Mr. Rigler. Any questions, comments?
We just-
I'm sorry. Please.
I would just note that this project is currently in the design phase. It will be bid in January of 26. It's being funded through funds through CERPA. There was 123,000. This is for the trail south. Oh, my apologies. I had the wrong one. I had the wrong trail in my head. That's right. As part of the 69 trail going south, we wanted V&K to oversee that. We put the turn lanes and the roundabout are back on the developer's engineer is going to be doing the inspection for the DOT since the DOT's not. But we wanted Forrest and his firm to oversee the trail to make sure that it was put in properly. So, and I believe our staff is overseeing the storm. Or are we leaving that with Nellis is doing, oh, and Nellis is going to do the storm sewer as well. So sorry about that, Forrest.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Just the visual, where's that at? South of Anthem, are we in
It'll be
behind 69?
in the right of way that it'll come. It'll kind of jog around the gas station that's there, that gas
Okay.
substation, and then it comes back and then it goes out along the right of way in 69.
Okay.
Basically the west side of Highway 69. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Rigler,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
All right, resolution 25050 tonight is a resolution in support of a workforce housing tax incentive application for submission to the IEDA for a housing project by North Park Row LLC. Need a motion on this?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Etcher,
Give you a second.
second by Ms. Roberts.
I will talk about this a little bit. If you recall, if you remember last year, we had an application that we put in for Chris Gardner for the at that time it was called Freedom One. I think he's got an application tonight that's for the Republic, same project. But Abby Gilroy is here. Abby's in the audience. Rory and I had the opportunity to go down and look at a project that Abby did in Grinnell. She's currently doing one in Indianola that's very similar to what she's wanting to do here. But the project here will also include, she has she's working on finalizing the purchase of the Ballard Creek Assisted Living project as well. That'll be 40 apartments. And then she's buying a portion of the property to the north between 69 and North Park Boulevard. And she intends to put in 52 units of housing similar to what Rory and I looked at a couple of weeks ago down in Grinnell. And Abby's here if you have any specific questions, but what this is, it gives her an application to go in. We put in a letter. If she's successful, as a part of that, we basically are guaranteeing $1,000 abatement per unit. And this is a 92 unit project. So if she's successful, there would be abatement on this. I do know, I think in talking with Abby, the total project cost for everything is a little over $9 million, if I remember correctly. So, but she's here if you have any questions or if you have any other questions of staff, or if Rory wants to make any comment about what he saw down at Grinnell.
So the ones we seen down in Grinnell, correct me if I'm wrong, were 1 and 2 bedroom units. They were really nice units, well upkept. The landscaping was nice, the lighting was nice, parking lot, completely paved, concrete paved parking lots. Very good, very nice housing units. The ones we walked through too. And both were really nice.
And I will note within this project, Abby's planning on having a few 3-bedroom units as well. I think it was 8 3-bedroom units. So.
Can you clarify just a little bit the $1,000 abatement? Is that?
Yeah, the $1,000 abatement. So if the project's built and then they go to pay taxes on this, it's similar to what we had agreed with Chris last year, that we have to abate up to $1,000 worth of taxes. And I think last year on the application, it said that it could be over a course of 1 to 2 years. It just kind of depends on how they're assessed out and what the taxes are and the portion that we can physically abate, because there are certain things that we can't abate off of a tax bill. So we would abate up to $1,000. It may take 2 years to get that $1,000 abatement per unit.
Okay, so up to 92, right?
Yep, for 92 units, yes.
Okay. Any further comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roberts? Yes. Rigler?
Yes.
Etcher?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Need a motion to approve resolution 25051, resolution in support of workforce housing tax incentive application for submission to the IEDA for a housing project by Republic LLC. That's the difference. Thank you.
I'll give you a motion.
Motion by Ms. Roberts. Second. Any further conversation?
I would just say again that Chris is applying for those tax credits again this year. I think part of the issue last year is we didn't have an updated housing study, and that housing study, as you recall, that is to be completed here before the end of May. So they'll have it for the submission as part of their application. We closed the public comments back on May 2nd, so we should be getting that. But this is for 135 units. It's the same number of units that Chris had applied for last year. It would be his first 3 buildings out in Anthem for the Republic Apartments. And total, those are, when it's fully built out, it'll be 6 45 plexes for 270 units.
So would they be, Dave, after it's built?
Yes, I mean, they would have to, this will go through the state process. The state will award. I think Story and Boone County were pretty successful last year. There were a number of projects that were approved, because I know that the Alliance works with the communities and the developers to get a lot of that app put together. The project would have to be built be paying taxes. And then on that first tax bill, then that's where we would have to calc out how much could be abated off each unit's bill or off that unit's bill and make sure that we get up to $1,000 per unit.
So judging from the number of places, we probably have to go more than 2 years on his.
Last year, when we projected, we were looking at 1 to 2 years were all we were thinking, and that was talked with the county assessor last year, and he thought we would have that. So we didn't put in the years. We just said that we would get up to a minimum of $1,000 abatement.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are these competing for each other then?
There'll be a number of them. There'll be a number of projects that'll be competing
Okay.
across the state. I know that, I think Boone got several last year, Nevada got, I don't know if Nevada's applying for another one this year, but it's around the state. But yes, they will be competing against each other and probably a number of other projects.
I've got a motion and a second on that. Need a roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Okay, item 6F this evening is discussion and appropriate follow-up regarding a railroad park cleanup. Ms. Dinger, Park Director.
So if you've been over by the railroad park, you've seen all the dramatic tree removal that city staff have done over the last year. There are quite a few stumps that are remaining on the hillsides on both the side by the parking lot and on the other side. And so city staff is asking if we can use our local option sales tax fund money to have that professionally ground down and flattened, and then they will go in and do the rest of the dirt work. So we did get, or I should say Matt got 3 bids, and Jay Petticord obviously was the most reasonable. He feels like the other ones didn't probably want the job in the first place. So we're recommending that we hire them out to have that project done.
Sorry, Heather, what was the dollar figure on that?
9,500.
Dave or Barb, will this ultimately take a budget amendment?
Yes, the money, you've transferred the funds from the 25 local option that will be in the reserve fund. And it would require an amendment, and you set a hearing for a public hearing for a budget amendment at your next meeting. So yes, it will be a part of that.
Yeah.
If approved.
Okay, so at this point, I'm just looking for some consensus from council if this is an item they wish to see moved forward here.
Yeah, we don't have any equipment, right, of our own to do that, so.
So it's been almost 2 years that we've been working on that. It's been more than a year. And with the time and everything, we're kind of getting to the point where there are larger trees and all that. And the stumps are the hard thing to get rid of. After having big word talking with them about what they would do and all that. They're gonna be in here probably a week and out and have it cleared off, and then we can start doing the dirt moving ourselves. Which is gonna be as we can fill in, do stuff up there. But it's gonna make it way more usable in a more timely fashion than what we're doing now.
Thanks. Are we planning on putting more trees back out there? Good,
Yeah.
okay. It's really bare.
Yeah.
Looks good though.
And all the trees that are there are either shrub brush type stuff, and any trees that the tree board want to keep, they'll leave there as well.
So I know that the railroad car kind of has gone on the side. What are our plans for this park?
So Park Board is still planning on doing a railroad themed area. They actually have asked for Historical Society to come to our next Park Board meeting and explain to us the reasonings why they are now wanting to withdraw that proposal. We do know that they're looking at doing murals. That's one of their backup things to do, is some murals out there of rail cars. We've also talked about a backup option as a park board for them to build a reenactment of what the old station looked like on that site. And we had already talked about, as you saw in that previous plan, was nature trail and then a shelter that looked like a rail car. We are still planning on having all those things. We're still planning on doing a nature trail, picture areas. We're trying to get more focus on that bridge, a small train play area with the theme still, whether we have a train itself or not. And I will also throw in that Prairie Fest is looking at funding a drive from Main Street to the back of the amphitheater, so that when performers come, they can pull right in there, as opposed to how they've been doing it over the years, is driving down the trail to unload. So they're planning on doing that as well, which is part of the reason why the dirt work would be nice to get done, because they're ready to act on that. That would be a small portion, but that is something that they've been talking about for a while. And they would fund that.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm looking for consensus to bring this forward at a future meeting to fund this. I'm not seeing anybody nodding in opposition, so I would ask staff to proceed accordingly. So moving along, item 6G this evening is ordinance number 5, approving ordinance number 542. It's an ordinance amending the City Code of Huxley by amending chapter 69. This is the third and final reading of this. Need a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Motion by Ms. Roberts.
Second.
Second, Mr. Etcher.
This is not to do with the one. that
Oh,
it
yes,
released.
thank you. This is completely unrelated to trailers. So thank you for
It's
clarifying
basically
that.
added a street that was forgot.
Yeah, adding no parking to new streets or forgotten streets. So with that, any further comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Okay, moving along, motion to approve ordinance number 543. It's an ordinance amending the City Code of Huxley by adding a new section authorizing the use of state income set-off program. This is the first, this will only be the first reading this evening. We're unable to do a second and third reading. We only have 3 council members. So look for a motion to approve ordinance number 543.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Etcher,
I'll give you a second.
second by Ms. Roberts. Any questions or discussion?
I would just note, originally this program was the offset program that was run by the state. It was under a different division of the state, but with the consolidation of state departments, this fell under the Department of Revenue, I believe, and they've changed it to set off. And what it does is for bills that are owed to the city, whether it be the ambulance, parking tickets, a lien against a property. If we file this with the set off program, if they receive any sort of a state income tax refund or a large lottery winner, those will be garnished and those funds will then be sent back to the city to pay that debt.
So it's really neat. We had to switch because they switched, right? We already had the program in place.
They had
There.
used it, but I don't know how effectively the city had used it, but we wanted to get it, since it's changed, we had to get it set up. And I know Barb had attempted to get it set up a couple times and they didn't like some of the, or they didn't like the ordinance that we
No,
were
they,
using,
we
so.
needed to just, it's just kind of a dot your i's and cross your
Ts.
t's. They're requiring an ordinance for our participation in the program. I've worked with the program before. You don't ordinarily see a lot, but even a little bit is more than we're getting now. And it doesn't preclude us from assessing to property or collection agency. It's just another method that we can use to collect those debts.
Do you know, like I saw a demo at work about it. Do they take your Prairie Meadows new ones money? I think they scoop it from there too.
Any payments from the state, whether they would be lottery, income tax, contractor payments, any type of payments from the state.
Thanks.
Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Etcher,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Up next is 6I, and I think we had a typo on this one. Aaron, what should that be?
Yep, that's correct. It's a revision to chapter 69.13. It's correct on the agenda, just in the actual ordinance, it's showing 55.13.
Okay, thank you very much. We're looking for a motion to approve ordinance number 544. It's an ordinance amending the code of ordinance for the city of Huxley by amending chapter 69 relating to the prohibition of parking and imposition of civil fines. This will be the first reading. We will not have a second or third reading this evening. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Etcher. Second, Mr. Rigler. For those in the audience, this is related to, it will prohibit the parking of unregistered vehicles on streets. So again, this isn't related to the trailer parking that you folks have expressed some concerns about. It's unregistered vehicles, so.
It'll be unregistered, unlicensed, but the one thing that if they've got the registration but only have the paper plate from the DOT, those are legal, but if it's unregistered, unlicensed, it will be subject to this ordinance.
Any further comments?
So I just have a question. So if you have the metal dealer plates on there, those are not included.
Dealer plates are excluded. Dealer plates are only allowed for certain items, which Aaron researched for us. So
the person actually.
So we're basically trying to identify it when we don't know who owns vehicles.
Exactly.
Or a junk vehicle sits there for a duration, that's a problem.
Okay.
So,
A lot of communities actually, this language would live in your junk vehicle ordinance. You guys don't have that language. They're trying to address it in this manner.
Okay. Thank you.
hearing no other comments, roll call, please.
Etcher,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Rigler,
Yes.
Okay. Any department reports this evening? Seeing no one rise. Forrest?
I just want to give the council an update on the splash pad. So that project is progressing. They're looking to start paving the parking lot tomorrow. And their completion date is first part of August. They're ahead of schedule. So they're hoping to be done a couple weeks ahead of that. So things are progressing pretty well out there at the splash pad. Just want to give the council and the community an update.
Appreciate that, Forrest. Aaron, anything? Thank you, ma'am. Barb?
just wanted to give the council a heads up that the Iowa League's annual conference will be held September 17th through 19th, and it'll be in Des Moines this year. Registration will open right around the first part of June, so let me know if you'd like me to register you.
Thank you, ma'am. David?
only thing I would note is I will be out of the office next week on vacation. If you need me, you've got my personal number. You know how to get a hold of me.
Start down there with Ms. Roberts.
Yeah, thanks for emailing the updates on the budget and property tax. I don't think anything's come of that as of, okay.
No, they were still in session when they went until 11:30 last night, the Senate did, and the Senate was still in session when I left to come in here today.
Okay.
So I'll check it when I go back.
Thanks.
Mr. Etcher?
So are we gonna set up like a work session for the trailer part of the ordinance for like maybe next meeting?
We certainly can. I'm just looking for, generally, I like to get two council members that are in support of such an idea. So,
I would strongly suggest that.
okay. Hearing that, that will be a work session item then on the May 27th.
I think clarification of enforcement and calls for
Sure.
services gonna alleviate a lot of questions within the community.
Appreciate that. Mr. Rigler?
Yeah, not much to add, but outside of that dog ordinance that was brought up when I first started, I heard more about this trailer ordinance than anything else. So yeah, I was gonna advocate for that as well.
Perfect. Okay, I do not have anything additional to add this evening. And that will conclude our regular business meeting this evening. We do have a work session, and there is one work session item this evening, and that is regarding mosquito control. Ms. Denger.
So as I mentioned, at the last meeting, the place that we have had mosquito control is no longer doing that because Des Moines canceled that contract, so they're not serving the Ankeny community. So I had done some research of other places and other communities and what they were doing. And then I did some research with what it would cost us to purchase a sprayer, as well as the chemicals that we would have to purchase to do that, and approximately how much that would cost for us to do that, as well as certifications for our staff to do that. We've talked about that before. So that is what is included in your packet, is that basic information. Mosquito Control of Iowa also could do that for us again this year. The cost would be $15,500 for this season. We have had them previously. So they would do the larviciding, fogging, and residual spraying. They do not do a schedule like last couple of years we've had. They just base it on what is needed in the area based upon control population, but they average 6 to 10 treatments per season on average. And is it Matt? Rich. Rich is here from Mosquito Control of Iowa to explain what they offer. So.
Okay. Thank you, Rich.
I apologize. My son usually does this, so I'm going to be a little out of kilter on it. But I started the business 47 years ago, and he does most of it anymore. He started doing it. He's started when he was 13. He was youngest certified sprayer. So he's been doing it now he's 47. So he's been doing it about 44 years, and I've been doing it 50 or 47. No, he's not 34 years. But I'll go through this kind of quickly. I don't know exactly what you want to hear. The first part is mostly propaganda. And then you get down to the bottom. We do all in-house labs. We have our own equipment to calibrate our sprayers. When you start calibrating a micron droplet, takes a very expensive machine and takes a lot of talent to do it. So we have that all done in hand. We don't have to rely on some other company coming in and doing that for us. The next page there just talks about the droplets and the size of them. A human hair is about 100 microns in diameter. These are 17 microns is the average. We use about a 3 micron droplet compared to the other companies using a 17. Ours stays in the air a lot longer. The average, according to the University of Virginia, stays in the air about 4.3 minutes to come in contact with the chemical or the mosquito. Ours stays in the air 66 minutes. So it gives us a lot longer time to keep the chemical in the air and reach the mosquito. The next page talks about the monitoring and surveying that we do. We try to figure out, where our water puddles are, where we stand, and whether we have mosquito larvae hatching or not. And then we get into the larviciding. This one talks about the drone. We purchased a drone several years ago, but then the FAA opted that nobody could spray, and they're just opening it up now to spray with drones again. So we'll be set up to spray with drones here shortly. And so once we get that in, we can larvicide water puddles that have larvae in them, and we don't have to go down and do it by hand or use Argos or something to get into them. It just allows us to get through it. We can do sewer treatment spraying. Some of the older parts of town and some of our older towns have the sewer systems. The uh, the sanitary sewer, not the sanitary, the water sewer, will hold water. The pipes have settled out in places and water will stand in them. And so if we're getting mosquitoes coming out of those, we can treat them. We've only had to do it about 3 times in the last 47 years. But when they are there, they're a disease-bearing mosquito, so we like to treat them. We do, and according to this, is barrier and perimeter. It's now called residual spraying. It's using a little bit larger droplet, 150 micron, what's recommended by the Florida State using, and it coats the grass. And when you put that in the grass, the mosquitoes going into that area will continue to die for 5 weeks. And my son goes down to Florida periodically for training, and that's one of the things that they came up with down there. And we've been using it now for several years and having very good luck. It works good in ticks, as well as when we do a complete coverage in some areas. We do that in campgrounds and some parks. And so we've had very good luck with that. We're expanding it. In fact, we added 2 more pieces of equipment just to do that this year. Then when you get to the ground adulticide, that's mostly what you'll see us do, is we'll be running around town in the evening when the mosquito population gets up and spray the town or fog the town with that. And that's where we want the chemical to stay in the air as long as we can. And we drift around. If you look at the top 2 pictures, the tug unit on the left is from the tug unit hours that we use. The other one on the other is the right. It's the same amount of chemical at the same rates. Everything's the same, except we make a lot smaller droplet. So it makes a bigger cloud and stays in the air longer. The other pictures are just the same. The bottom one is our town. We have GPS monitoring of it, so we can tell where our crews are at. We can go back at the end of the day and see how fast they were going. You know, if anybody says, oh, they went by our place at 30 miles an hour, we can go back and see if they did or not. And if they missed a street, we can see that also. The top of the next page is aerial spraying. We still do have the airplane. We do not maintain it. And the reason for it, years ago, we had many towns that wanted the aerial spraying. And when you use the aerial spraying, you have to make a larger droplet yet. You get perfect coverage over the town. But because it has to be a larger droplet and come down, it's only in the kill zone for about 1.5 minutes. And if if all the mosquitoes are out, when that happens, you get beautiful coverage. We have found that having the droplets in the air for 66 minutes is far better. And a lot of towns requested to go back to the fogging units because we were getting better when we used the fogging. So we do keep the airplane, the twin engine airplane, available. It would take us a little while to get it approved again, but we still do have it in case of emergency where everything would happen. The last page is just a bunch of pictures of the different equipment that we have. We have several different pieces of equipment. We have several different people that run the equipment. We like where you have your old train tracks through town there on the south. If we would go in now with the equipment we have and put a barrier on both sides of that, a residual on both sides, a mosquito is not a real strong flyer. They hopscotch. They fly about 15 feet, land 15 feet. And so coming across that, if we can lay about a 50-foot band in there, that's going to stop most of the mosquitoes from coming into your town from the south. And if we can get around the water areas, then we can, and like she said, we don't set a schedule. 45 years ago or 47 years ago when I started, the town said, we're going to spray every Thursday night. And after 2 years of that, didn't take me long to figure out Thursday night wasn't always the best night. You know, you try and pick the best night. If it's windy and cold that night, you're not going to kill a mosquito, but you're fulfilling your contract. We would rather monitor the weather. If we can catch a hatch right after the eggs hatch, there's about a 4 or 5 day period, and that's when they start biting. They all hatch at the same time, they all start biting at the same time, and then they all lay eggs at the same time. So if we can get them in that and kill those those females at that time, it stops the hatch, and so there's not as many. If we miss that hatch, like, you know, every Thursday night, and they hatch on Saturday night, you've got mosquitoes laying eggs before you come back in, especially if it's a bad night. So we opted not to go that route. We try to monitor the weather. We watch the maps and how much water you get here. If you get an inch of water, we know, and your ground is so dry, we know if it's going to stand or if not. And sometimes we miss it, but we have enough equipment, enough crews, we can come in and cover it. That's very quick and from a very on skillful program. So any questions?
No, I appreciate your comments. I learned more about mosquitoes tonight than I thought I would, and appreciate your information. So,
well, anytime you have questions, either tonight or anytime during the week, just call us.
appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Heather.
Thank you, Rich. So when we were informed a couple weeks ago that this Clark was no longer serving our community, like I said, I did phone calls to other communities and asked them what they were doing. Some of them gave me recommendations for other communities that might be willing to outsource, but they almost all have in staff, like in that spray. For instance, Cambridge does their own. I do not know what Slater does. I talked to somebody at Altoona that they do some of the other communities that are nearby, but they could not do us. I also reached out to Barb and got whomever does mosquito spraying. Mosquito Control of Iowa is the only one that responded. The other one I reached out to a couple times was Vector, never did hear back from them. So the other options, if we were not to go with mosquito control. So first of all, with mosquito control, they gave me the cost of $15,500, which was less than what they originally quoted to me. If you looked at how much it cost us last year with Clark, it was $97.23. So it is more expensive. However, there's pros and cons with that. Dave asked me if I had a recommendation. I don't have a recommendation because it's up to you. It's not up to me. However, we are getting close to that time when we need to make that decision and we don't necessarily want to do a last minute decision. So it makes more sense in general to go with Mosquito Control of Iowa for the season to me. I think we do need to do some more legwork on what it would entail for us to do it ourselves. The chemical license is not expensive. Purchasing chemicals, there are two options that I learned. You can either mix them yourself, which most recommend not doing that because it's a difficult process to figure that out. They usually buy them pre-mixed. Bigger problem is when would staff do it? Because usually it's done in the evenings. And from the staff that I know, they don't want to have to come back and do a second job. So it might mean finding somebody else to do it. I don't know. I'm not going to throw that out there, but there are a lot of questions that still need to be answered if that were something that we would need to do aside from the equipment that we'd have to purchase. So anyway, just giving you the information that I have. Obviously, we do need to make a decision soon. I know there was a little talk between some staff about, hey, let's just not do it and see what happens. Don't know how that will go over. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
I would just note that I worked with Mosquito Control of Iowa when I was innovative from 96 to 07. And our community loved, at the time, the community loved them. And had we decided not to do it, we would have probably been hung because it was a call every year. When does it start? And they did a very good job for us in those years that I was there. So,
Sir, did you have a comment to add?
I got two comments. One, years ago, we had a town call up And they hired me to spray with them for 2 years and supply them with the chemical and stuff, and they went on. They did that for several years. The town had a very good financial officer that kept track of everything. And when the machines wore out, she did an analysis and asked what we would charge to come back and do it. And we were within $200 of what their actual cost was from, you know, overtime, getting the guys out and that kind of stuff. The other thing is, when most towns spray their own, they have one machine. And sometimes they have 1 or 2 guys. As you can see, like my truck itself is equipped with 3 different types of sprayer. I can do larviciding, I can do barrier control or residual and fogging. So I can come in and cover a town in a lot more ways than just going out for 2 hours at night and just fogging.
All right, thank you for those comments. I guess just my thoughts on this. I think this is something you leave to the professionals. I'm sure the chemicals are harmless. I mean, we all get exposed to them, but I'd rather not expose staff to that if we don't have to. In addition, as Heather points out, you're either paying somebody overtime to do this or nights and weekend. It's not desirable. So if we can make it work within the budget, my recommendation would be to use the professional outfit. Yeah, this isn't a contract that we can approve this evening, but I'm not hearing anybody opposed to bringing this contract back for approval at the next council meeting. Heather, with that, I know residents appreciated with our previous applicator the notification that, hey, tonight we're going to be spraying. Is that something you can coordinate? I mean, if he just tells you, then you can push it.
Right, we used to have that with them and we
Okay.
collected residents. I don't know how that works, if that works the same way now, or we
Right.
collect it and notify.
We have what we call a pre-notification list. So they sign up with the town or they call us and it comes to us. And then the day we spray, we call every one of those people on the phone. We have a lady that does that. And sometimes it goes very fast. Sometimes they talk about 20 minutes. They get to be friends after many years of doing it. And so that part, that's not a problem. Once in a while you get one that.
Yeah, I heard them talking too. As long as you like let us know too with that, then we can post it on our website as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Or notifications, yeah.
Yeah, towns, a lot of them have Facebook and it just, you know, pop. We have a couple towns that have reverse or I don't know what reverse call, but they had a button that just calls everybody in town.
Yep.
And so there's different ways it can be handled. But
Okay.
Thank you very much, Heather.
And also if because of the time of the year. And if your budget is short, we do work with towns. Understanding that we've had towns that have got into that problem and we will work with towns with that. So if it is a budget problem, we can adjust things.
Can I ask you, would this be like, we would pay the entire cost up front? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
Most generally, we never used to charge up front at all, but after you start doing 180 towns, the cost gets up. So we do sometime through some towns we bill during the year, some of our old towns.
Okay.
We hate to bill anybody ever more than the work we've done for them. You know, so if we're half done with your town, we might bill you for half.
Okay, I'm just wondering, fiscal year wise, where the money's gonna go out. So it's down here. So your services were very invaluable to us then.
Thank you. Yeah, we still do a lot of towns in that area. They did opt to buy their own sprayer, but a couple of years ago, their sprayer went down and they hired us to come in midterm and work with them. And I know the city guys would like to switch back.
Okay, appreciate that. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Motion, Ms. Roberts.
Second.
Second, Mr. Etcher. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next meeting is scheduled for May 27th. Have a good night.
So they do this for skeletons and homes, like higher reference chemicals and foggers. Yeah. Your comment. Probably being safe. Okay, good. Definitely having a caterer license and it's like. It was a job I hated, but because, yeah, when you're first out there. I'm just. Yeah, so I'm sure it's relatively safe, but I hated doing